Hello and welcome to another Friday night episode of Monk and Lou's Happy Hour. I am your host, Monk, aka the MonkMMATician, and right below me is my intrepid co-host at Lou Betya. Lou Betya, how you doing this week, bud?
Doing all right. Putting in a lot of work for the company, trying to get our launch going.
I like that, the company.
Making progress. Exactly. The fact-sheem. Making progress, and it's nice to do a demo of one of our things. Hopefully late next week or the week after that, I'm going to give something for the users, and I'm very much looking forward to this card. A lot of bangers on it, a lot of interesting, a lot of weird, fun equity I found on this card, and a lot of fights that terrify me with guys that have traditionally killed me in the past.
True that. So as you can see in the logo, put those martini glasses up, baby. It is 5 o'clock. Let's get started, Lou. Hope I didn't just push something I didn't. Somehow I did that, or you did that.
I did that. I'm learning.
You can do that.
Yeah, it's like now that I'm 4 weeks into StreamYard, I'm like a pro.
Oh, dude, you got it handled, man. Well, I'll try to keep up with the stuff so I don't double click. But hey, some of your comments might be worthy of 2 posts, so let's get it. First fight of the night. Why don't we go ahead and get started? UFC 272. Who do we got headlining this bad boy? Colby Covington and Jorge Masvidal. So we will start on the opposite end of the card with the first fight of the night. Dustin Jacoby. I always want to call him Justin Jacoby, but Dustin Jacoby going against Michael Oleksiejczuk. I'm just going to call him Oleksiejczuk. I will go ahead and start this one off for DFS here. I love this fight. Historically, the $8,600 and $7,600 salaries pair very well together. They make the optimal lineup over 60% of the time when they win. As far as scoring goes, Michael is the much better scorer of the two, scoring exactly 1 point more than Jacoby per minute. He averages less, or his opponents score less against him than Jacoby. Jacoby giving up 3.38 a minute. Michael only 2.76. Michael is $700 lower than his average salary, and he gets 106.5 points per win. Guys, all these numbers are much better than Jacoby, who you're actually paying up for by $80. So I am honestly leaning Michael Oleksiejczuk in this one. I love him as the underdog play this week, Lou. I hope that you're going to back me up. But in DK, just for the salary voodoo on this alone, I'm going to be on both sides, but with much, much higher exposure to the cheaper guy, Michael Oleksiejczuk. So what do you got for this one?
Yeah, it's funny. I looked at this fight when it first came out. My initial reaction was just thinking of the way Jacoby's fights have gone, that maybe it was kind of be a boring stand-up affair. And then I looked a little deeper into it, and Jacoby got Darren Stewart out, which is not an easy thing to do. I'm not saying Darren Stewart is a top-ranked guy, but he's been traditionally very tough to put away. And Mikey O, as we'll call him for the sake of this,
there you go.
Got three out of 4 finishes. The Badescus fight was, Badescus kind of played defense the whole fight, didn't really engage. I like what I've seen. I mean, he attacks, he presses, he's going for knockouts. Nobody here is going for a submission.
No.
And there's 2 plays I like. I like fight doesn't go the distance at -165. I think if this fight goes into deeper waters, Jacoby will have an edge. He seems to have. He's weathered the storm against Kudiyaba before. He's proven that he can have against. I mean, John Allen's another guy, maybe not a top. He's not a top tier talent, but his pace in the 3rd round against John Allen, he was still throwing tons of pace. So Jacoby's got endurance to go. I don't know that Mikey O does, but I do know that his style is he's going to press. And I like Mikey O early, Jacoby late. They're both good plays. I'm going to rock the Oleksiejczuk KO at +400. I think it's great equity for his winning condition seems to be the KO. I'm not certain he could win a decision because I don't know that he is going to look good in the 3rd. But I trust that he can get Jacoby out of there. But not go the distance is the better of the 2 plays, the safer of the 2 plays. I don't like safe plays, but you got to start off the night with it. You want to start out with a win. I think that's a solid win, and looking forward to that one. That's actually a low key. That's a understated banger to start this card off.
100% agree with you there. The last thing I'll say about this, Mikey O, as you call him, 65% striking defense in the UFC. That is 1st overall on the card. But Jacoby does throw. I mean, both these guys throw a ton of volume, average about 5 significant strikes landing per minute. Jacoby 3-0 is a big favorite, over 65% implied odds, which is where we are here, I believe, still. I did do my odds earlier this morning, so we should be around there. And then Mikey O, 1-0 as an underdog, so could be an interesting little matchup. I agree. I think both guys, or at least Michael is just going to come forward, and we're going to see some bombs dropping on this one. So
I believe that was Monk. I believe that was last fight too. I think he was a small dog. I believe it was last fight. So
that what?
That he was a small dog.
Oh, okay. Who?
Chasek. I don't have the betting on.
He was going up against 14-0 Gamzatov, and he got that first round KO. Yep, absolutely right. Let me get over to the proper spreadsheet. Next one, Devonta Smith going against Ludovic Klein. Now, who knows what to think about Ludovic Klein? Came in on fire into the UFC and has dropped 2 straight out of 3 fights. Going to be a lightweight fight here. What do you got for this one? Why don't you start us off?
These fucking guys. These are, here you go with the 2 guys that they love taking my money. Smith less than Klein.
I thought you were referencing this fight when you said that.
Klein, I mean, I keep wanting to believe in him. It's like you see the skills he has, but he just I don't know. It's something's in his head. Something's in his head, just putting it all together. He's coming in on short notice. Look, I saw the DraftKings under 2.5 in the alt line is -165. I think that's a pretty good parlay piece. I think Smith's finish rate's 100%. Klein's is 92 or very close to that. Klein's coming in on a little bit of short notice, but with the gas tank that Smith has, I don't think that really matters. I mean, this seems like Smith round 1 or Klein round 2. I'm gonna make a stupid pick with this, and I'm gonna go with Klein in the distance at +250. I don't want to take the knockout. He does have some subs on his record, but they've both burned me before, and I would like nothing more than a double knockout and a draw, and just even if like they take the KO bet away from me, it's satisfying.
Right.
I like the under 2.5. I also would say if you're not comfortable betting on this fight pre-fight, which I would understand, this is your perfect live betting spot because Smith is going to look bad with 1 minute left in the round. He's going to be out of gas. Like he against Malarkey, and Malarkey is a pressure fighter more than Klein. I understand that. But Smith throws everything with like he's throwing a baseball 500 feet. He just doesn't know how to throw like soft to set up. And I think that if Smith has a great first round, I think if you can find Klein at +400 or 500 after the first, I think he's worth hopping on for a shot because Smith is traditionally, I know he has a 3rd round knockout in his history like years ago, but he's first round or bust to go with it. So I side with Klein. I hate it. I like the time props better. What do you got?
Yeah,
you have to play this, I guess.
Absolutely. I love the time props here. Computer Monk has this -477 to finish inside the distance, the highest number there. And that's just based on probabilities in their past. But if you can do the math, what was it? How many wins? We've got 18 wins here. First of all, Devonta Smith has never been to a decision in 14 fights. Klein has only been to a decision twice. So that's the math I'll give you on that. I mean, you got to play this fight on DraftKings. The $8,500 and $7,700 pair is one of the best salary pairs to play on DraftKings, with the winner making the optimal lineup at about 65%. It's something crazy high like that. Both of these guys score very well. That's the other point I want to touch on. Devonta Smith over 3 points a minute, scores 111.5 when he wins. That is over 3 fights, so not the biggest sample size, but not the smallest either. Does give up 108, almost 109 when he loses. So tons of points for Devonta Smith fights. The lower salaried fighter here does also score. Well, in his 1 win, he did score 103.69 points. Only gave up 75 on average when he lost. So this could be a case of if Devonta Smith does not get that early first round knockout, he's not going to score very well. And then you can see Klein kind of come on and do his thing, as you mentioned, later in the round or rounds, depending on how far this goes. Personally, like I said, I think it goes inside the distance. But both guys, I mean, very good scorers when they score or when they win fights, scoring, like I said, well over 100 points. Ludovic Klein does have 70 points per minute in takedowns and 0.25 control time points a minute. That is almost 1 point a minute in just grappling. He's also got striking points and knockdown points, so scoring everywhere. Smith doesn't really give up a ton of takedowns, but doesn't land a ton either. He has shown to, he has landed a few here and there and has a bit of control time himself. I think I like Smith here for the early finish, but we'll see, man. Either way, I think you have to play this one and just hope one of these guys finishes. So that's kind of how I see this one for DraftKings, much like you said.
What would you split your exposure, you think? 60-40?
Yeah, let's see. I'll probably play like 50-ish% of that fight, have my exposure total 50, and probably 60-40 of that 50% towards whoever the hell I can't think of, Devonta Smith. So that's probably how I do it. I probably favor him for sure just because of the crazy power in the beginning of the fight.
Sure.
But got to have some Klein in there for a bit of salary relief. Plus the 77 by itself, $100 salary is very, very good as well. So.
These guys are another Abdul Razak Al-Hassan for me, and that no matter what I take, it's gonna be a disaster. Now this fight's gonna go the distance. Now that I'm like, all the time.
You picked Klein, so I'll definitely have more Smith.
Smart. That's very smart for this fight.
Next one, Tagir Ulanbekov going against Tim Elliott, flyweight fight. $9,000 for Ulanbekov, $7,200 for Tim Elliott. I'll go ahead and start this one off here. I like a few fighters, definitely like a few fighters better than Ulanbekov at that $9,000 range, but I will have to play a little bit of him because I do think he's going to win this fight. Now, all that said, out of the way, you got to play Tim Elliott for some salary relief here. The $7,200 salary is fantastic when it does win, and I think out of the $9,000 fighters, Ulanbekov has the highest chance of dropping this fight, and if not dropping it, at least having it be closer than the odds would indicate as far as DraftKings salaries go. So with that said, Tim Elliott at 72 is a fantastic scorer. 4.26 points a minute. He outscores his opponents by 1.85 points a minute. I mean, you're getting him cheaper than usual by almost $800 when he wins. And as I said in the Wednesday show, it is only 6 wins, 6 out of 10, or he is 6-10 in the UFC. Sorry, I'm talking too fast. 119 points when he wins. That's the second highest number on the entire card. Only gives up 90 when he loses, which is just what Ulanbekov scores. So I will have some Ulanbekov here, probably more in cash than big GPP type tournaments. But I will definitely have a big chunk of Elliott, probably close to, I don't know, 25-30%, depending on how much Moicano I want to play. I'll have a ton of Elliott just for that $7,200 salary. It's fantastic. And, Tim Elliott does not really get finished. I guess he has been subbed 5 times in his career. Ulanbekov does have 6 subs, so I guess we do have to watch out for that. So you got to play Ulanbekov for the sub prop there. But other than that, Tim Elliott, great dart throw type play. What do you got for this as far as lines?
Well, I've been seeing a lot of people talk about this sub prop, and I'm just not seeing it in terms of with Elliott in this fight. I see this fight being 15 minutes of scrambling. I don't know. The cardio is going to be an issue. Ulanbekov could very easily be 0-2 in the UFC. I don't think that he hasn't shown me. I think the line's priced about right, but that's more a knock on Elliott at this stage of his career than it is a talent of Ulanbekov. The best bet I saw, as much as it's a boring square play, fight goes the distance is -150. And I just don't. I definitely don't see a finish on the Elliott side. He hasn't had a finish in 4 years, a little more than 4 years. Like right at the end, I think December 30th of 2017. And then Ulanbekov hasn't had a finish in his very short career in the UFC. He has had a couple. Like you said, he definitely has some potential, but Elliott is a step up from the guys he's fought, even at this stage. True. I think Elliott can scramble enough to stay out of horrible positions while still getting controlled. And I think this seems like a 30-27 for Ulanbekov. I don't know that I'm going to get the pay window. That's the case.
It's another 90 points in DraftKings. So, I mean,
I don't know that I'm
going to do it.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm going to get to the betting window here. I just, there's better. I mean, I think the fight goes the distance is very safe. Even with the sub live, I just think it's safe. -150 is an okay price. But there's better spots to waste your money on this card and be a true degenerate.
Yeah, I completely agree there. I mean, what did we say? I know you said Tim Elliott hasn't had a finish in 4 years, but the last time he scored a knockout was like 11 years ago or 10 years ago against Jens Pulver.
That's right. And Pulver was 50 at the time, I think.
Yeah. So I mean, went straight there into retirement, probably pretty much. So I agree there. I don't really think Tim Elliott has a ton of value in DraftKings, but if you need salary relief, I think it is a good dart throw. We will keep it moving. And actually, I just keep going to the wrong tab here, messing myself up. Umar Nurmagomedov going against Brian Kelleher, bantamweight fight, the biggest favorite on the entire card, and it's not even close. Probably the biggest favorite in several weeks, I would imagine. Why don't you go ahead and start us off? How do you see? Do you think Kelleher has any shot here? Do any of his lines have any value whatsoever?
No.
Either one of them, for that matter.
No. Yes, but not the money line. This is like a Bellator priced line. I mean, we don't see this in the UFC too often. At least not on the men's side. I mean, I guess we like with Nunez and Shevchenko, we've seen this, but not too often on the men's side. Even though we just did see one with Makhachev under unique circumstances. I don't know what Kelleher is going to do here. I don't know if he has a striking advantage. It is so marginal, but I'm not sure that he does, because the way I've seen Nurmagomedov fight is it's like he's using the striking to set up the grappling, but then the guy gets up from the grappling and he hits him 2 more times and right back into a takedown. The guy is perpetual motion. I don't think he can out grapple him. It's that simple. And even if Kelleher were to get a takedown, these last couple of fights, he hasn't done anything with them. Against Karum, he took him down and said, okay.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't have any interest in advancing the position or doing much except for just killing the clock. And he's not going to hold Nurmagomedov down. So I'm playing Nurmagomedov 2 ways here. I like the sub prop at plus 175. It's not that I don't think the knockout's live. I mean, it is. He's very talented, but I think that the better path for him is going to be, you worry about the ground and pound, like, you worry about that kind of knockout. But I think for the most part, he's going to get him down once or twice in the first round and just have his way with his neck. And I do like the round 1 sub at plus 350. These are 2 good ways for me to cut down that minus 700, because there's no reason you can't bet that.
No.
That's the only way I see value in this one. And I do think he's going to get a finish. And the sub, the knockout doesn't seem the right idea here. And also, I have questions about Kelleher's cardio coming into this too.
Absolutely.
I don't think he's starting to be a fighter on the decline. He's fought a lot in the last couple of years.
He's also almost 10 years older than Nurmagomedov is.
Yeah, he's starting to show signs of decline, like my guy Barberena. Like, just little by little, he's showing, like, just it's little subtle things during these fights that you're seeing where he's not getting up as quick. He's not getting off the stool as quick. I know this seems like little innocuous things, but it adds up. The body language is starting to, and you got a hungry opponent right now who's very, very dangerous. So we'll go round 1 sub, and this is leg 1 of the famous Holland tunnel hand job $10,000 parlay. Leg 1 of 3. So
3 leg. That's a tripod parlay, if you ask me.
I'll recap the 3 at the end of the show, but this is the first leg, is the round 1 submission.
Nice. Well, I agree with everything you said, and usually I would not be rostering $9,600 fighters. They don't make the optimal very well, even when they win. But I am going to make an exception in this case. 9,600 for Umar Nurmagomedov. I'm going to try to put him in every single lineup I can, which is probably going to be 30 to 40%, quite honestly. I agree with you. I think he finishes Brian Kelleher, and I hope he does finish him here. Nurmagomedov in his one fight, 4.82 points a minute, 111.7 points. Kelleher averaging 95, almost 96 when he loses. But I mean, I think he's going to get absolutely smashed here on the ground. He does give up almost half a point per minute. That's Kelleher, just in takedowns, and 0.28 control time points a minute. Those are about average for the card. Nurmagomedov, I have no rankings here for him because he has not had 3 fights in the UFC. But if there were, these 2 numbers would probably be very, very high. He's also got some striking points here and a very good defensive, or he doesn't allow many points at all coming back to him, I should say. So he smashed, let's see, who did he fight? Yeah, Morozov, actually. So not a scrub by any means. He smashed Morozov in that fight, 2nd round. I'm hoping for a 1st round here, and if not, hoping for some rinse and repeat type takedowns. But like you said, maybe 1 is all he is going to need in this one. I'm going to play 0% Kelleher, and I will try to get, like I said, Nurmagomedov in as many lineups as possible. Might be difficult this week, but I will try to make it happen. Actually, you do have a lot of relief with the Dusanjos Moicano fight being so cheap. You can get Nurmagomedov in many, many more lineups. So do that this week. That is my
Kelleher might get 1 point.
Maybe.
I mean, it's very possible that he gets 1 point. So it's
if he lands a couple of strikes from the bottom before he gets triangled or arm triangled, then that might be the case. We will go to the number 1 grudge match on the entire card. I believe this is Lou's favorite fight. You hear boos in the background? Favorite fight for Lou Betya. Maria Agapova going against Marina Moroz. And I will go ahead and quickly talk about DraftKings for this one. 8,800 for Agapova. 8,800 is the worst salary out of all salaries, pretty much, except for 6,700 that you could play on DraftKings via Salary Voodoo. This thing does not make the optimal lineup hardly at all. It has a great winning percentage, but in those wins, it makes the optimal at like 20%. It's something crazy low like that. So usually I would not play either side of this fight or hardly at all. I will make an exception here for Maria Agapova. I think she does win this fight. I think she's insane, and I mean that as a compliment when I use that in this very specific instance. But she scores the highest rate on the entire card, 5.13 points a minute. In her 2 fights, she averages over 103. I mean, she gives up a ton in her 1 loss. Moroz gives up a ton of points when she loses, 95 points on average over 3 losses. I mean, you're barely paying up for Agapova like $120. Marina Moroz, you are paying $800 less than what she usually is. So if you do like that side, you're getting a deal. I have seen people say they like both sides of this fight. I personally like the Agapova side. I don't know that she is going to score enough to pay off that salary. And like I said, I hate that salary for DraftKings. So I like her here, but I'm going to keep expectations low, probably maybe 15, 20% just for the finish rate. What do you got for this one here?
Yeah, so I'm going to try to be unbiased as I can here.
There we go.
And Agapova is like half the women I've dated in my life rolled into one, and I am here for it. If you guys don't know a lot of the stories between Moroz and Agapova,
let's touch on that for sure.
I mean, I'll give like the basics, but the bottom line is Agapova had some major problems at ATT with her, allegedly. Although it seems like, as Norm Macdonald would say, allegedly, but also really. She was attacking teammates. She was apparently had some drug issues, and then it got even nastier. And they were like sending nudes of each other on the gram. I'm in my 40s. I don't know how Instagram works.
I think they call it the gram.
I assume you hit some buttons and something happens, or like Tom from MySpace posts the picture for you. So there's a lot of nasty history here. Now, if I take that out of the equation, I'm of 2 minds here. One of them is I think Agapova can stop the takedown attempts of Moroz, and she's going to be the more violent puncher. And Moroz is coming off a pretty long layout. She's had a lot of fights canceled, which is
almost 2 years.
It's a red flag because you just don't know. Like, we hear stories, but you don't really know. It's not like Moroz isn't the reason that every fight of hers got canceled, but she's the reason that some of them got canceled.
Yep.
And I just think Agapova, people are going to hold the Shannon Dobson fight against her, which I get. She's a huge favorite. She cost a lot of people. If you put her in a parlay, you're an idiot.
A huge favorite, you mean on average minus 1,500?
Yeah, I mean, if you couldn't, she was unbettable in terms of money line, but she looked good. She looked good until she didn't in that fight. I throw that one away. That was her first. Like, it's octagon jitters. It happens. And Mazo, yeah, all right. Mazo is not great, but like, man, she looked so good. I mean, every facet of her game looked good. I'm going with Agapova minus 180. Oh, here's what gives me pause, and I don't get into politics very often, but with what's going on in the world right now, obviously betting against the Ukrainian is a touchy, tricky subject. Like, I don't want to root against Moroz here. I don't. So I'm trying to put all that, like, get that out of the way. It's coming up with the bet. I just think Agapova is a better fighter. I think she's gonna get the finish. And somebody just joined the chat that I think is taking the round 3 sub, which, that kind of bet is awesome. I'm going to stick with the round 3 prop at 10-1. She's plus 1,000 right now on DraftKings in round 3. I do think she has knockout potential as well here. So I don't want to limit it to the sub, but I'd be curious to see if her takedown defense is better than Morose's. He's saying it's high level, and I'm like, oh man, they're so crazy. I love it. Such great analysis. He picked the right fight for this high level analysis. I think a gap if it gets it done though, and I could see a round 3 finish here plus 1,000. This is not in my big parlay, but I do like this as a straight bet. Should be a good fight. It's gonna be a better fight than people think too. I know they hate each other, but I think a gap if it seems that she's gotten her head on straight a little more. Like, I hope. She's got a lot of talent. I think sky's the limit for her if she's focused. And
according to Morose, she was smoking crack. So
yeah, they are like fun. They must have been fun roommates for
and they were roommates also. How come there's not a sitcom out about this?
Well, not
is that what Euphoria is? I haven't watched. I mean, maybe
I don't know what that is. Not to pile on Morose here, but she says all this stuff about what a slut Agapova is, and then now she's just posting sexy pics all day on her OnlyFans. I don't have a subscription to her OnlyFans, but that's literally just search for her and it's oh look, this is on my OnlyFans. So the
exclusive content.
But I mean how do you talk all this shit on this girl, and then you're well, now I'm doing it for money. Hey man, make your money.
Yeah, that's super weird.
Anybody, I got any problem
not at
making
all.
their money, but don't be a hypocrite.
Don't talk shit. Yeah, exactly.
Also where that pics? Where that pics?
Yeah, put them out.
Yeah,
Instagram war. It's just their revenge. They're revenge porning each other. It's ridiculous. Anyways, let's move on to the real banger of the people's choice for fight of the night. Nicky Gums, Negamariano. I fucking had it and then I lost.
Good luck.
Negamariano. I'm calling him Nicky Gums for the rest of the night, and we'll call Kennedy and Chukwu. I can do that one. So light heavyweight fight. Why don't you start us off with this banger here? I know it's hard. There's no crack smoking rumors in this fight. Well, we'll see if we can find something interesting.
All right, I had to play. I had to.
This is true, Eric. I mean, from what I hear.
Okay, showing my age there a little bit with that comment. So this is not a great fight. I want to like Nchukwu. I think a lot of people want to like him. He looks like he has potential to be really exciting. But he hasn't been. He knocked out Olberg in a fight that Olberg, unlike his last fight, Olberg actually threw punches this fight. Olberg cracked him a bunch of times. It seemed like Nchukwu had a great chin. As soon as, Olberg tired, he knocked him out in the second. His next fight with Danilo Marquez, he's just tied up for 10 minutes. He shows no resistance to takedowns. Not that I think that's going to be a real worry here.
Right.
But he shows no urgency.
75% control time against.
He doesn't show. He's got all the tools. He doesn't show any urgency. Now, Negamariano is just, I think, a terrible fighter. I don't know. It was a Kamer he beat, and then I was like, okay, Kamer is the worst fighter in the UFC right now. That it was such a bad loss. But the one thing they both have in common is none of them seem anxious to throw ever. They wait and they wait and they wait. So when I looked at the total, and this fight is predicted to be inside the distance. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Let's see what this is. I
had it at minus 195 earlier.
Yeah, well, over 1.5 is minus 165 right now.
I didn't put those in. Yeah,
and I with the way they just don't throw a lot of volume, I like it a lot. I don't think that it might be 5 minutes of just 8 strikes each. And then this will also be one of 2. I hope you're listening, Eric. One of 2 Yam Bag specials. And for anybody that hasn't seen this before, a Yam Bag special, I am betting on the point deduction at 20-1 odds. It's 20-1 for every fight. It doesn't matter who's fighting. On DraftKings, it's 20-1, and I'm rooting for one of the Yam Bag.
Cage grab, ball shot.
Any foul, any point deduction counts.
We need to find out who's reffing these fights ahead of time.
But I would prefer the reason I'm taking it in this fight particularly is that when you see 2 guys that are bigger, that are more low level with their striking. Eye pokes are more prevalent. Neither one's a big kicker. I think Nurmagomedov would I guess throws more kicks, but it's not a big part of either one of their games. But eye pokes definitely in play. It's a terrible fight. I do think it will go longer. I think it will go into the third round, so you will have time for that nut shot. And that's one of the ones I'm taking. The one I have later for the other Yambag special, I really like. But this one I do like. What do you got, Monk?
Looks like Nicky Gums doesn't kick a lot, but Nchukwu definitely absorbs a ton of leg strikes, over 1 per minute. So the opportunity is there. I don't like this fight for DraftKings. I don't like it at all. I think it's probably going to go the distance. The strength of schedule here is the thing that jumps out at me. Nchukwu has a decent strength of schedule. I do that just how the BCS does college football, basically, for just the last 5 fights. UFC, professional fights, doesn't matter. Last 5. So Nchukwu has a fantastic strength of schedule, one of the best of the week, actually. Nicky Gums is the exact opposite, less than 50% in most of these categories, and you want to be at like 70 to 75. So his strength of schedule is super, super poor. Does not score well per minute. Negamariano, 1.88, 86 points when he wins. Kennedy, when he wins, and that's 3 wins, 74 points. Actually, less than that, only 2 points a minute. These guys are not prolific at all. The last thing I will say about this, because I don't have much to say about it, just because they don't score well. The light heavyweights make the optimal lineup only 47.73% of the time. That is the 10th worst. So that's basically last. I think there's 12 weight classes that I track currently. I believe that's right.
That's kind of surprising to hear. That's
it
very
is
surprising.
Right. It is a bad. It's just a bad. Some of that salary voodoo. I can't explain it, but there it is. Fight order. What fight is this? Number 4, 6. Number 6, 55%. The winner makes, or one of them makes the optimal lineup 55% in the 6th fight. So, but other than those 2 things, I'm not going to be playing much of this. These guys do not score well. If one of them gets a knockout, hopefully it's late, because I won't have any part of it. We will keep this moving on to Marina Rodriguez going against Yan Zhaoyan. I'll go ahead and start this one off. I don't have much to say about this one either. I like several other fighters more than Marina Rodriguez in the $9,300 price range, mainly Colby Covington, Umar Nurmagomedov, even Tajir, even Kevin Holland. I don't remember who 92 is off the top of my head.
Even Kevin Holland.
Even Kevin Holland.
How dare you?
Recency bias there must be happening in my head. But I like Marina here to win. I think it could be a close fight. I think it goes to decision. I don't think she scores well enough to make the optimal lineup. I mean, Yan has been knocked out 1 time in her career. I doubt we see a sub here from either side. This is going to be just a pure striking battle. Rodriguez only 87.6 points per win. So very low. That is over 5 wins. Gives up a ton when she does. Actually, both of these women give up a ton when they lose. I know it's only 2 fights total, but over 100 on average. So I still think that whoever wins this fight, well, at least if Marina wins the fight, I don't think she's going to pay off her price tag. I don't think she finishes Zhaonan in the first round, even early second. And so I will not be playing much of Rodriguez this fight. I might have a bit of Yan just as a balance piece, because I'm going to have so much Nurmagomedov and Colby Covington. But Yan is the better scorer on average per minute than Rodriguez. Neither one really puts up over 100 points ever in their career. Yan did 1 time. Marina never has. So I'm going to be taking it easy on this fight. What kind of lines do you see? Anything jumping out at you in this one specifically?
Well, I know Wheezy has this as his the ass shaving of the week, and I understand why. I think Rodriguez has her beat everywhere, even if Yan goes for takedowns. I mean,
I like that ass shaving of the week rule. I like that pick.
I don't see any problems here. The one thing that maybe I disagree with is he thinks he sees a finish here, and I know that Esparza got her out of there, but I don't know that Rodriguez really is that style fighter. I'm not saying she's a point fighter, but she's a volume fighter. It's not like huge power, and I could see her just chipping away. I don't like the money line. It was a minus 260 is a lot, but minus 135 for round 3 or decision seems safe. I could see
minus 130. You said
minus 135 for round 3 or decision. I like that a little more. I don't think she's getting an early finish, but I think it's just going to be volume, volume, volume. I mean, Yen could even get like a takedown here and there, but I don't see her holding Rodriguez down. I think Rodriguez is just going to smash her and keep smashing her. And if she doesn't get the late finish, it's going to be a 30-27. So the minus 135 round 3 decision prop, nice way to cut that line down a bit.
For sure. The only thing that jumps out at me about the goes to decision lines is historically they are. Jan has never lost a decision in the UFC. She is 6-0, and Rodriguez 4-1-2 when it comes to her decisions. So
yeah, but look who she's beaten. I mean, you got to look at the body of work. I mean, she beat.
Mackenzie Dern. They both lost to Esparza split.
Yeah, Waterson by decision, which is a pretty decent win. Dern by decision is a great win.
Yep, especially at that point. A lot of people were on Dern that fight.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me get to the next one here. Jalen Turner. Let me just intro it, and then I will get to some of these comments while you go over some lines. Jalen the Tarantula Turner, who did say today on Twitter, how do I make 155? I'm going to be up at 175, 180 by the time the fight happens. Like, holy shit, dude. Jamie Malarkey, the other side of that, one of the toughest sons of bitches in the lightweight division. Not saying that he's going to win this fight, but he is very hard to finish. What do you got for this one? What kind of looks are you taking a peek at here?
Well,
Wheezy in the chat.
I got, for our Australian friends out there, AKA at least Daz. I love Malarkey in general. He's my style of fighter. He's got that big blockhead. He just runs forward and he absorbs punishment, and he has pretty good cardio, and he eats a lot of shots. But Devonta Smith cracked him a bunch, and he hung in there, and then he got him out of there. And he's my kind of fighter. Now, there's a lot of love for Turner this week, and I see it. I get the skill set. He's looked very good. Oh God.
Sorry, I couldn't hold that one back, dude. I'm not expecting that, Eric. I appreciate it though. I really do.
A lot of people this week are on the Turner side, and I think they're forgetting that as athletic advantage as he's going to have, his cardio still huge question marks abound. He's never looked good past like the middle of the second round. He tires because he's high pace, and Malarkey's high pace. The thing is this is another live betting spot, because I think if you might miss the window if Malarkey has a good first round, but if Turner looks good in the first, you're going to get Malarkey at a crazy good price here. I like the Malarkey KO plus 300. I mean, Turner, I believe his finish rate's 100%, and Malarkey's is, if it's not 100, I know one of them's at like 90 and the other one's at 100. So
right,
the odds of the finish are substantially high. And if Malarkey just continuously goes for takedowns in the first round, it's a bad game plan. I don't know. I don't think he has an edge there in the first. As Turner tires, they'll be there. But if the first round just stays on its feet, I think Malarkey has more than a shot to get him out of there early. And Malarkey, look, his chin's, it's decent. Like, he can eat a few shots. So if this gets out of the first, I really like that Malarkey ticket. Maybe I'm just partial to him also. Like, he's one of those fighters like an Elkins that I love, like how tough they are, and they fight for your money. I don't know that Turner fights for my money historically with the way he's gassed. So I'm going to take the guy that I know, if this gets to the late second, the deep waters, is going to be fresh and is going to be going forward with blood all over his face.
That
seems like a must roster for you.
Absolutely. I was just going to say, you were right. Malarkey has the perfect chin in the UFC so far. Perfect chindex, I should say. Never been knocked down. The only other thing, Jalen Turner, 78.26% takedown defense in the UFC. Jamie Malarkey with a 32% takedown accuracy. So you're absolutely right. He's going to have to get Jalen Turner tired before he even thinks about going for that ground game. So really good read there, I think, as well for you, Lou. Jalen Turner, Malarkey, as far as DraftKings go, like you said, must roster. The salary pair makes the optimal lineup at just over 50%. One of these guys, and actually, the $8,000 salary is a lot better than the $8,200 salary. It's not really close. It's a coin flip fight. Actually, no, it's not. The $8,000 salary wins at a 52% rate, while the $8,200 salary wins at under 44%. And I believe the salary voodoo here is 8,000 makes the optimal lineup at a much higher rate, like 18% higher in wins than 8,200 does. So I'm loving Jamie Malarkey. Both guys, 3 fights total since January 1st of last year. All 3 fights they've made the optimal lineup. So I mean, you got to play both sides of this. Last thing I'll say, well, maybe not. 118 points per win a piece for these guys, and that is over 6 wins total. Fantastic numbers, both of them scoring almost 4 points a minute. I mean, is somebody going to get finished here? Probably. So you hopefully you got to play both sides and have more exposure, hopefully, to the winning fighter. I started off the week thinking I was leaning Jalen Turner here. I know Computer Monk is, but I like the Jamie Malarkey side just a bit more, especially with that salary voodoo. I'll probably be very high exposed to this fight, maybe 60-some%, maybe like 35-25 Malarkey to Turner, something like that. Very close, but a little bit of an edge toward Malarkey. You got anything left to add on this one?
I mean, it's just amazing that we could have had 3 weeks in a row with Johnny Parsons, Jamie Malarkey, and Javid Basharat. Like,
could you imagine
the Triple J connection? I could have had my like all 3 of them like in a row, and now I just got to settle for 2 of them in a row. But we'll see. We'll see when Johnny Parsons decides. I mean,
I was going to say he has been popping up in the chats lately. So I mean, if he wants to like tell us at any point during this next week, maybe
I just assume he's waiting to be gifted a title shot against Usman. He's holding.
I mean, what are we even waiting for?
He's probably or McGregor, or he's waiting for McGregor at 170. I don't know.
Yeah, well, at this point, McGregor would just be begging anybody for a fight. It seems like so. Oh. Sergey Spivak going against Greg Hardy. Heavyweight fight. I'll go ahead and start this one off. I don't like this fight for DraftKings, but I'm going to be forced to play it. It's one of those unfortunate situations. Spivak scores 107 points when he wins. A very good pace as well, 3.67 per minute. Hardy is the opposite of that, only 2.3 points a minute, scoring 98 when he wins, giving up 88 when he loses. I mean, both guys give up a lot of points when they lose. Spivak, many more points than Hardy, though. As far as DraftKings, I mean, you're going to need a finish here. No matter what, if you don't get a finish, you've just thrown away your entire salary, especially even in cash, I should say. But I'm going to have a little bit of this fight just because it's heavyweights that throw heat. Spivak has the tools to beat Hardy. I mean, who doesn't in that division? But Hardy just needs one shot, and Spivak is not very good overall. I just don't think so. So I guess I'm going to be forced to play this fight. I'll probably have a little more exposure on Hardy, honestly, than Spivak because he's cheaper, because of probably the higher knockdown. In fact, what were the odds? Plus 268 this morning for Spivak by knockout, plus 283 for Hardy. It's probably closer than that if I had to guess. Yeah, I mean, it's very possible here. I kind of like Spivak, but I kind of like Hardy for the early knockout. Like I said, you can tell by my wishy-washy fucking response that I don't want to play this fight, but I'm gonna have to. What do you got? Are you betting this fight at all? Are you betting it to finish? Or is the inside the distance line have any value at all?
I have, strangely enough, I have 4 bets on this fight.
Oh, shit.
This ended up becoming my most bet fight of the night, which I would have never thought. Well, the first thing is this would be Yambag shot number 2.
It's a must.
And the reason for this is I part of me can't get past Greg Hardy, the human being. Right. I can't get past the allegations from years ago. Allegations. I mean,
allegations.
Again. I need to get like Norm's soundbite on here. Allegedly, but also really. He allegedly threw somebody on a pile of guns on his bed. I mean, like that's like I thought the police reports were just like a bunch
comic
of
book villain shit.
Yeah. So I'm gonna look past that for this. I didn't think Hardy looked great on the scale today, but also that's just his body language. He kind of looks like disgusted to be anywhere. So I can't tell if the weight, but I know he came down from, I think, 291 to make.
No, he said he was 310.
Yeah, I think. Well, his playing weight in the NFL was about that, so it makes sense to me.
Yeah, you can tell.
But the reason I like the point deduction here is Hardy is like a walking guy of eye pokes and ball shots, and then he is very The cage grab with a takedown attempt is very much in play.
100%.
So, like aside from that, I like
takedown defense.
The alternate under here, under 2.5 is minus 175. And I think that's a safe parlay piece. I like Spivak to get it done in the distance plus 120. I get that the Hardy knockout is live early. I understand that, but yeah, I feel like we say that every week. Every time he fights, we say that early knockout's live. But has he had one in a long time?
Well, one in his last fight. Well, no. Round 2 knockout over the Crochet Boss. Isn't that Maurice Green, the Crochet Boss?
Yeah, and he's awful. And then he beat Juan Adams, and that 2.5 years ago.
Decision against DeCastro, decision against Volkov, loss, and then 2 losses after Green. So
but he has a reputation as being a round 1 finisher, and truth be told, that was against like the lowest level guys that he fought. I don't think Spivak's still young and getting better. And I throw the Aspinall fight out. He took it on very short notice. It's a horrible matchup for him. Oleinik was a weird fight because he was afraid to go on the ground with him, which you understand with like Oleinik's, resume on the ground. You understand why he doesn't want to grapple with him as much, but that is what Spivak wants to do. And this is another fight where it's got to take one takedown because Hardy doesn't have a get up game at all. And he doesn't have he doesn't fight. He doesn't fight it. He's like, all right, like he sets position and this will stay there. So if the takedown comes at the end of the round, Spivak's got to watch out for some of them leg kicks because they're coming with some heat. But if he gets past them, he gets a takedown. The round's going to end there. He could get the sub. I like round 2 because Hardy just gasses so badly after those first 4 minutes that round 2, he's going to get taken down within 30 seconds. He's getting subbed. That's it. Now, since we started doing this show, I hit the Rowe round 2 KO prop. I hit the Kyler Phillips round 3 sub prop. I'm hitting this round 2 sub prop today.
I agree.
I'm hitting this one. I'm going to go 3 out of 5. I'm going to continue my streak of a 4-digit. Well, this is the round 2 sub it was 10-1. Now it's 9-1. I'm counting it as 10-1. Because I bet it at 10-1.
Absolutely.
And the round 2 sub is leg 2 of the Holland Tunnel hand job, $10,000 parlay. Sponsored by
double.
Quiznos.
That's a double. HDHJ.
Way too much for the record. For the record, next week's show I will talk about why the fuck did I have so much action on the Spivak Hardy fight. Yeah. Just remember I'm saying this now. We'll replay this clip next week when I'm like, why did I have 4 bets on this? Awful.
Why did I bet
fight?
Parker Porter inside the distance? We just say the same shit.
Well, yeah, these are Parker Porter is a banned word on this.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Banned words. Porker. We got get porked.
Yeah, we did.
All right, let's get off that fight.
Yeah, let's do it. Next fight: Kevin Holland going against Alex Cowboy Oliveira. Why don't you go ahead and start us off here? This is going to be a welterweight fight. What do you think about this one?
So I'm an admitted Holland stan. I don't like what he did the last couple of fights. I like Dawkins. Like, I'll root for all the Philly guys. That's my bread and butter is rooting for those guys. But he didn't look so good in that fight. I realize that he's had this goofball just get taken down. And I don't know what the hell goes on in his head in some of these fights. But if you follow his Instagram and like the way, like, it really seems like he's made a conscious effort to just work wrestling. It really does. And it takes time. I mean, he had no wrestling at all. Right. He's only been doing it for about a year. He worked with Cormier a little bit. He's getting a good exercise. He's beating up trolls from Instagram that come into his gym. That's good warm-ups. But his striking, I think, is still, even like, Brunson was wearing him down. He's hurting Brunson a couple times at the beginning of the rounds. He's got pop late. That's the weird thing is he got dominated in those fights. He never looked tired. Like his cardio is good. You can't say the same thing
the whole time.
I cannot say the same thing about Oliveira. And Oliveira's had a nice career and he's made a nice name for himself, but he's winding down and he cannot take damage at this point at all. And he submitted to a one-arm choke from Randy Brown, which I'll never get over.
Can you believe they made him fight Shavkat?
No, I won that bet with Randy Brown, by the way. I had him losing. I did not. I didn't
With
think he was
one
going to
hand
lose.
behind your back, just
Well,
like he did.
I didn't call him losing a one-arm submission from a standing position in the first or whatever. But this to me just seems like a get right fight for Holland. They set up. I think Holland's going to try to prove a point with the wrestling. I like him in the distance. I like the Holland sub at plus 600. I have his round 2 sub. It was, by the way, his sub was plus 900 earlier in the week. And then I posted something on Twitter on Monday, and now his sub's at plus 600. I'm not saying it, I had something to do with it, but I had something to do with it.
I mean, that's the data I see. I'm a data guy.
So I like the Holland sub. It's now down to plus 600, but I still think there's good value there. And in the 3-leg parlay, I have the round 2 sub with Kevin Holland. It was plus 2,500 when I got it. It's still 2,200. But I also have a small straight bet on the round 3 sub solely because I could not resist it when it was plus 5,500. It is now down to plus 4,500. So clearly people like this kind of nonsense bet. But I mean, I think I threw $5-10 on the round 3 sub. I mean, you hit that, your night's made. So, but it does seem like a get right fight in all facets for Holland to just come in here and win by however he really wants. I assume there's going to be some interest on that side for you, but I never know.
Yeah, true. I am an enigma wrapped in a mystery. The Kevin Holland side, I will probably be on, but might be lower than the field. I just don't know, man. If I knew that sub was a guarantee, like I'd be all, and I know that's a dumb thing to say, but 9,100, every part of Kevin Holland that I play, it's taking away from either some that could be, Colby Covington or, part of Umar's share. But I'm going to go with Kevin Holland, obviously, to win this fight. I'm going to play 0% Oliveira, most likely. But especially in like 20 maxes, I might have a couple of lineups with Holland, maybe up to like 5. So I guess maybe around the 25% point. He does score very well when he wins, 101.95. Gives up a ton when he loses, although we are not expecting that here, as we just talked about. Puts on a decent pace, over 3.1 points per minute. When he does get that submission win, which is what we are looking for, 123.13 points every time on average when he gets a submission win. That is the highest of that category on the entire card. So, I mean, all signs point to yes for this one. Let's go Holland sub. I will be, like I said, 20 to 25% on him. I would be higher, but I just like guys that are salaried above him a little bit more. Plus, the salary voodoo here is not great. The weight class only makes the optimal lineup 44.12% of the time. So right around the same as light heavyweight as we talked about earlier. So definitely some better weight classes out there, but the early finish will keep it up. Let's see. Well, it wins 76% of the time, and I'd have to look at the chart on that. Actually, I think this one's lower. It's like 40% when it wins of making the optimal lineup. So it's not very good. 94 is better. 89 is better. 9,000 is really the magic number between this 93 and like $8,700 salary area. 9,000 is where you want to be at. So 9,100, not great. That said, I'll take Holland. I'll take about 25% of him. And that's where we will go on that one. Next fight. Co-main event. I don't know about this one, Lou. Edson Barboza going against Bryce Mitchell. I'll go ahead and start this one off. I do not like this fight for DraftKings. The salary voodoo on it is good, with both winning at 50%, and actually the $7,900 salary having a slight edge of making the optimal lineup over 83. But these guys just score too low for my liking. Barboza, 78 points in his wins. Bryce Mitchell only 84 when he wins, and this is over 21 wins in the UFC. So very low scores, 2.39 points a minute from Barboza. Mitchell has a pretty good pace, top 10 on the card at 3.33, but he's not getting those finishes you need. He's not getting those bonus points at all, so his scores stay right around 80, 90 points. We don't know what Bryce Mitchell gives up in a loss because he is undefeated. And for that reason, plus a few others, I'm going to go with Mitchell to win this fight. I think it's going to be a decision win, and I think it's going to be a fairly low-scoring event. I'm going to have tempered expectations for both of these guys as far as DraftKings goes. But yeah, I think I like Mitchell to win. And until someone beats him and shows me that I shouldn't like that anymore, I'm going to continue to like it. So what do you have any value on any kind of lines in this fight? I believe you are muted.
I am no longer muted.
True that.
What was on Mitchell's arm today? Because it looked awful.
I didn't see.
I don't know if it was like a deep bone bruise or I don't know what it was, but something looked off with his arm. It was bad. And it doesn't seem like there's any more information past when we saw him on the scales, but it didn't look great. He looked fine on the scales, but
was it like, I know you don't usually get staph on your arm, but was it something like that?
I would imagine they wouldn't have cleared him to fight, but
you see guys with that shit on their chest though sometimes.
I don't know. Something was off about it, but it doesn't really affect how I was looking at this fight. So Mitchell's body of work is Matt Sales and Charles Rosa. Like,
yeah,
terrific.
Top tier fighters there. I mean, he did beat Feely.
I know, and he beat him by like greasy decision. Like he's fine. He's limited. He's one-dimensional. He's good at that one dimension. Barbosa, I don't have to really talk about his accolades. The guy's resume is very good. You know, the Burgess knockout was fantastic, but
epic.
But to me, there's a way to bet this that I think is on the safer side, and that is I lean Barbosa, but I don't love it because, like you said, if he's he's undefeated, like you just never really know. Barbosa plus 130 money line finish only seems very safe to me because if it ends in the distance, it's Barbosa winning probably like by knockout, and if it goes to the scorecards, unless Barbosa fended off like 12 takedowns, I see a 30-27 safe win for Mitchell. So I'm going to side with Barbosa with the finish only prop here, plus 130. It's his win condition as far as I'm concerned. And, but this is a huge step up in competition. A huge step up from Bryce Mitchell. Apparently Eric loves Instagram, by the way.
He's always on Instagram.
He's always on the gram. We appreciate it.
I need to be connected to the world, and I don't always have time to do that. So I appreciate when I get aggregators, as we will call Eric, telling us what we're missing out on. So I honestly do appreciate that. That does explain both, actually. Interesting.
So I'm gonna play that Barbosa line, but
maybe someone threw him onto his own pile of guns and he got a bruised arm. You never know. Just saying.
I got nothing else to add to that one. It's but it should be interesting. I mean,
I'm excited for the fight. I don't like it other than what you said for the value, and I don't like it in DraftKings. So we will keep it moving. Co-main event. It was supposed to be the battles of the Rafaels, but obviously Fiziev had to drop out because of COVID. So now we have Rafael Dusanjos against Hinato Moicano. Why don't you go ahead and start us off? This one is catchweight 160. I'm sure there's all kinds of DraftKings value for sure. What about in the lines? You see any value there?
So Brady and I broke this down earlier in the week on the Engines channel, and this is an interesting fight in terms of to me, it's not interesting in terms of who's going to win. I think RDA is going to win. It's a matter of there's a couple of ways to attack this line. I could get into all the things that are against Moicano right now. We covered him a little early in the week, but I mean, everything, the short notice, the mentality. He's never fought at a weight this heavy. He's never fought, past the third round. And Moicano traditionally, if you look at his win-loss record, he loses to guys he should lose to, the top tier guys. He beats guys that he should beat. I think RDA is a top tier guy, even at this age, even though he's been a little inactive. I still think RDA is a top tier guy. The question is, when does he get him out of there? So right. I'm going to take a stab at the round 3, round 4 parlay here at plus 600. My reasoning behind it is this. RDA has good fight IQ, and I can see this being the longer this fight goes, the more he has an advantage, and I think he's going to just chip away. He's going to drag Moicano as far as he can. Moicano's going to get to the third round on no camp against a top-tier guy. He's going to be gassing, and that's when RDA is going to put him away. I was very surprised to see the total at 4.5 was, I think it was minus 120, and then it got a little steam, and then it came back down. I don't understand. I don't see this going the distance. I don't see it going anywhere close to the distance. If you like Moicano but are a little scared, there's alternate under-overs on over-unders on DraftKings I saw. I believe the under 2.5 alt line was plus 180. And that would fit Moicano's win condition, and it would fit him gassing early. So
true.
I don't hate that, but I'm gonna in my head, the way I'm playing it out is that RDA is gonna just pick him apart and drag him along until that tank is empty. And I don't think it's gonna take too long for the tank to be empty. So I think Brady liked the round 4 sub. I'm gonna go a little more passive on this one and just because he's got a couple of ways he can beat you. So I'm going to go round 3, round 4. I think that's the zone it happens. And 6-1 for that is for a fight that I think RDA wins 8, 9 out of 10 times on a full camp.
Yep.
I just like those. I like that equity for what I think here. Now you have to play this. Now this is the free square. So
yeah, exactly. With the fight switch, late switch, we already had salaries in for Dusanjos, so luckily we get a break on basically both guys, in my opinion. I mean, they could have lined this much differently if they were. I mean, you should see the line on FanDuel, fucking garbage ass FanDuel. If you play FanDuel, unless you have no access to any other DFS, like you got to look yourself in the mirror and ask what is happening there. But their salaries are jacked. But here we get some huge value: 7,300 for Dusanjos. 101 points, almost 102 points per win, almost 3 points per minute. Moicano giving up almost 100 points when he loses on average, and that is over 4 losses. Guys, this is a 5-round fight. I just said earlier, you have to play guys that are in 5-round fights that are grapple and wrestle heavy fighters, which I would call Dusanjos, based on his scoring, a grapple heavy fighter, over almost 1.1 points per minute in takedowns and control time. And reversals put together, it's even more than that. So he is doing a bunch on the ground. How does Moicano? I mean, Moicano doesn't give up a ton of takedown or control time points. Second, actually, overall on the card with the amount of points that he allows, so very low. But like you said, I think he is. I think Dusanjos is going to wear on him, and by that, second, third round, we're going to be able to see Dusanjos take him down with a bit more ease than he would in the first round, I think. So I'm hoping for that round 3, round 4 finish. Get me a couple of takedowns and some control time banked up before we get those extra bonus points. So I will be on both sides of this fight, obviously, for the salary relief. $7,200 salary is one of the best underdog salaries you can play. So I have to play that. But I'm loving Dusanjos at 7,300 here. Like you said, free square. He'll be in a ton of my lineups, probably my second highest owned fighter of the entire week behind Covington. Yeah, you got to play both sides, but I personally heavily favor Rafael Dusanjos there. We will keep it moving. Colby Covington, main event time already, guys. It's flown by. Jorge Masvidal on the other side, welterweight fight. I'll go ahead and start this one off because I'm sure you already know where I'm going to be. I'm rostering Colby Covington in as many fights or as many lineups as I possibly can this week. I'm putting the exposure at 100 and just seeing what happens. I mean, he scores second highest points per minute on the card, 4.52, 121, almost 122 when he wins, and that's over 11 wins. That is an insanely high average right there, insanely high. He's outscoring his opponents by 2.6 points a minute, highest average value on the card. You are paying high price for him, but in my opinion, it is well-deserved, and he could easily pay off that price tag against Jorge Masvidal, who, I mean, I just don't see it. I'm just going to be straight up. I don't see it as the dog this week. Was he going to crack Covington? I mean, MMA math doesn't work, but do you think Masvidal would have beat Usman or cracked Usman? Or, I mean, do you think Covington can not take down Masvidal? Like, I just think both of those things are impossible, like improbabilities. Colby Covington will be able to take Masvidal down, and I don't think Masvidal is going to be able to finish Covington. While he may be able to knock him down, can he get the finish over Covington? I think not. So I'm playing a ton of Covington this week, who has tons of takedown and grappling upside, over 2 points per minute, also over 2 points per minute in striking. Masvidal having a good takedown defense, 73.27, is susceptible to takedowns, though, via DraftKings scoring, allows over half a point in takedowns per minute and almost half a point per control time points per minute. So, I mean, I'm loving Covington here. I'm loving the striking from him. I'm loving the pace from him the most and the wrestling game. What kind of lines do you have here? I am interested in what you have to say about this main event, even though I probably already know.
Well, I mean, I couldn't agree with you more on like everything you said about how I think the fight's going to play out. I know there's people throwing their money away on a Masvidal this weekend. I don't.
Right.
I mean, you got to look past all the bluster. You got to look past, the hatred. You have to look past all of it for this to see that one of these guys, even though Colby
Levels
Covington,
above.
he's level above. Even if some have said he's, maybe he's a one-dimensional fighter. I don't know that he's one-dimensional, and more that he's very good at one dimension and fights a good game plan. I mean, outside of a 30-second knockout from Masvidal, I don't see this being anything other than rinse and repeat. But in terms of betting it, Covington was minus 320 the last time I checked. It's a parlay piece to be sure. If you want, you could throw him in a lot of parlays, and then you have a hedge opportunity if you really want it.
True.
It'd be very easy to hedge out at that point with Masvidal. I have a poke on Colby round 5 at plus 25 at 2,500. I don't love it. I felt like this was just the kind of bet you in a heated rivalry that you have to take. Covington has, a lot of he's had fights end in the 5th. So
yep.
He knows what it's like. The round 5 / decision prop for Covington is minus 150. And that seems on the safer side. He's not high volume when he takes somebody down. He's more about position. I could see him just wearing Masvidal. I could see it. He's going to talk more shit than he is going to throw punches. So I could see this going either the 1225 or maybe Covington just tires him out. Covington has said many times, I know he says a lot of things, he wants to win by verbal submission in the 5th.
Really?
He will have him so tired he will verbally tap. But I imagine that Covington is going to go for a submission to prove.
You think so?
I think by the time it gets to the 5th, I don't know how Masvidal is going to fight him.
That's true. I mean, I think, like you said, rinse and repeat takedowns. Give me all those points. I mean, Colby Covington could easily be the highest scoring fighter on this entire card. I've got to have him. Do you think this one finishes inside the distance? Computer Monk thinks this goes all 25. What do you think about that?
It's like I said, I took a small shot on the round 5, but I don't know that I really believe it more than I'm like, it's 25-1. And not only that, but like, I like about these bets is, let's say you're having a bad night betting.
Right.
You got one crazy shot, one bullet left in the gun to end your night. And it pays decent. I mean, that was funny. That was like a cowboy. That was perfect. I think the round 5 decision prop is the way I like it. I know FanDuel has 4-5 in decision, and some British books have that. So if you have that, I think that was like minus 180 or 190. I'd have to check, but that seems pretty safe too. I don't think it's going to be an early finish. It's going to be a lot of wear and tear. I can see why you're going to play him in a lot of lineups. I mean, didn't he get 190 once or something like that?
160, something like that. Last thing I'll say, he's 9-0 as a big favorite, which is 65% implied odds or more. 9-0, Colby Covington.
Yeah, he loses to
Usman. 3-6, huh? Yeah,
he loses
just
to Usman. Like that's who he loses to.
3-6 as an underdog, and 1-2 as an underdog at less than or equal to 35% implied odds. Yeah, exactly. Like everybody was saying, Izzy and Rob. Well, these are the two. It's Izzy, and then it's Rob, and then everyone else. That's how I think the welterweight. It's Usman, it's Covington, and then it's everybody else.
And then Smash.
Yeah, of course. And Smash, I think, will be number 1 at some point. But
after Smash,
for now, until somebody beats one of these guys, it's these two for me. Smash number 1 in my heart, though. So with that, Lou, we are all finished, bud. We did it. All 13 fights, and luckily we still had 13 fights to talk about. I'll go ahead and start us off, guys. Thank you first of all for watching Monk and Lou's Happy Hour, or Lou and Monk's Happy Hour, whatever you want to call it. Please hit that like and subscribe. I forgot to say that at the beginning, so be sure to hit it twice. And you can find me on YouTube, MonkMMATics, MonkMMATics. I do a weekly game theory video where I talk all about DFS for all of the upcoming fights for the card that is out currently. Catch me on Pub Sports Radio talking DFS with the boys Wheezy, Brady, and Luke on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. I'm just DFSing all over the place, and I am loving it, especially this show. So be sure to check that stuff out. Lou, what do you got for the people before we get out of here?
Well, I'm going to give myself a very rare night off from programming tonight. I think I need a refresher. You can find me at Lou Betya on Twitter. Please follow the MMA Engine on Twitter as well, MMA_Engine.
Yes.
And this channel. Like and smash the like button as those hooligans say. And keep looking out for product updates. I will keep you guys posted on our website and app launch, which will be in the month of March. We are on the verge of it. Sir. And we hope you guys are going to be really excited to join us. So that is it. If I do a surprise episode of Under the Hood, it will be a user-focused one. I hope I do. That means there's some significant things to show you guys that I have prototyped.
Hell yeah. So be sure to keep on the lookout for that. And like you said, sub to the MMA Engine channel. We are so grateful you guys are here. Help us spread the word. It's me, it's Lou, it's Brady, it's Wheezy. We are working together to bring you everything we possibly can to help you win those bets and your DFS lineups. We are like a triumvirate, but 4 people. What do you even call that? I don't know. There has to be a word for it. Whatever that word is, that's what we are. So be sure to hit that like and subscribe. We really appreciate you guys. And as usual, I want all of you to enjoy the fights. So enjoy. We'll see you next time.